Hi, this is John Allen, the editor of Crux. Welcome to another Crux video feature here on the Crux YouTube channel. This one is brought to us by the Congregation of the Sisters of St. Joseph and their Ministry of the Arts program. Now, normally, what I will do is I'll tell you who the sponsor is, and then we'll get on to what we're going to be talking about today. But in this case, the sponsor kind of is the story. In that, look, the Catholic Church has a well-known and glorious history with the arts. From medieval monks who were illustrating manuscripts to popes sponsoring some of the great art of the Renaissance, the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel and so on. But at a kind of institutional level, to find a religious order or a chancery or some other Catholic entity that has a formal ministry of the arts is kind of an unusual thing. To help us explain why the Congregation of the Sisters of St. Joseph thought this was worth doing, we are joined by the managing director of the Ministry of the Arts for the congregation, Sister Pat Murray. Sister Pat, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Thanks, John. Thanks for having me.
It's a treat. Now, listen, as I said, the Catholic Church has been all about the arts from the very beginning, okay? In terms of its institutional structures, there aren't that many places around that have a formal ministry for the arts anyway. Can you explain why the Congregation of the Sisters of St. Joseph thought this was a priority?
Well, John, it started really about over 30 years ago, and there was a realization within the Sisters of St. Joseph of LaGrange that the artistic talent that existed in the community was really a gift to be shared. So what began as one calendar made up of 12 pieces of art, one cassette tape, and one book of prayer rituals has grown into the Ministry of the Arts. As you said, it's a sponsored ministry of the Congregation of St. Joseph. Over 15,000 people worldwide have been touched by over 500 artistic creations.
And Sister, when you say touched, can you explain what you mean by that? I mean, does that mean that many people have seen the art, or do you mean that many people have purchased it? Just unpack for us when you say touched, what you mean by that.
Well, John, that's a combination of both. We have over 15,000 who have purchased from us, and then we also have the audience that goes beyond that. So when people have purchased our cards or our statues or our calendars and given them as gifts, that's more people that have been touched. We also have churches and convents that would have our art displayed in the church or also be using our music. So we believe that the number of people that are touched is sort of exponential from the people who actually purchase our products.
Sure. Now, tell us what would be a couple of signature pieces of art that have come out of this ministry, perhaps those things that have sold the best or that have achieved the most critical acclaim. Can you give us a couple of examples of the kinds of things that this ministry produces?
Our signature product is really that product which launched the Ministry of the Arts, and it is a calendar. And the calendar is created with a piece of art for each month. Originally, that piece of art was, all of them were from one of the sisters in the congregation, Mary Southard. And then that has expanded out to a number of other sisters within our own congregation, as well as sisters outside of our congregation. So there are the 12 pieces of art. And then for each day, there is an inspirational quote. So people buy that calendar year after year. It helps them to ground each day in that spirit of God. So that is our key product. We also have a large amount of music, again, written and performed by sisters in our congregation. that would have a large following in typically religious congregation use, but also a number of parishes would also use some of that music. And then we also have sculpture. And again, that has been used in various churches across the country.
Now, listen, as the managing director, I'm sure a lot of your job is sort of detail oriented, right? I mean, I'm sure, you've got to produce a calendar, you've got a timeline for it. So you're like, all right, this art has to be in at this time, and we got to get the design together. And you probably have a catalog that, and you're kind of, okay, I've got to get this piece of copy for this piece of art ready by that time, and we've got to ship all this stuff. And, I'm sure it's easy to get sort of, subsumed just by the details of getting through the day. But at the big picture level, I know that for the congregation, this ministry is more than just, a way to raise its profile or a creative way to make a little bit of money. You actually believe that the arts have a kind of vocation to heal a broken world. Can you talk about what you mean by that?
Well, John, we do believe that the arts touch the depths of our being, leading us to recognize that the God of love who dwells within each one of us is the same God of love alive in all people and all creation. The Congregation of St. Joseph has as its own mission and charism, all may be one, Jesus' prayer at the Last Supper. And so it is a ministry of unity. And with the recognition of the God who dwells in each one of us, we can no longer view people as those people who are somehow less worthy of our love or of God's love. Hate and violence find no space within our hearts, and they cannot overcome the power of that love. And so it is that love that will heal a broken world. And we believe that the arts are a huge part of that.
Now, the what you just described is a sort of eternal and timeless vocation for the arts. But I'm wondering, as people look around America today, it's often tempted for many of us to see a lot of ugliness out there. We see tensions along racial lines. We see tensions along class lines. We see tensions along ideological lines. There's a lot of anger, of resentment out there. So I'm wondering, do you think for the arts that you just described is somehow especially relevant or especially important for the America of 2017?
We do. And the reason that we do is because art and music speak their own language. And as a country right now, it appears that we're speaking past each other, and we're not communicating with one another. And the arts is a way to break past that. And if we both are paying attention to what the arts draw out in each of us, then we're going to be more likely to find the common ground. When we recognize the humanity within each of us and the unity that exists, we have to start talking to each other in a different way.
Amen, sister. Listen, for people who want more information about the Ministry of the Arts of the Congregation of the Sisters of St. Joseph, maybe you want to browse through a catalog, look at what you've got to offer, maybe want to buy a calendar. Where should they go for that information?
Our website is Ministry of the Arts, is all one word, .org. And so all of our products are available there. And there is also a link from our website to the congregational website, which is csjoseph.org.
So it's Ministry of the Arts, all one word, .org?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, listen, if you do nothing else today, you should go online and check out the Ministry of the Arts of the Congregation of the Sisters of St. Joseph. I spent some time on the site this morning. Believe me, I'm planning to buy a calendar or two. In fact, Sister Pat, you may be pleased to know we have a Crux corporate retreat coming up in Rome in December, and I am thinking about having calendars to take and hand them out as Christmas gifts for every member of our staff. Now, do I get some kind of volume discount for that?
I'm pretty sure we can arrange that, John.
All right. Well, listen, we've been speaking to Sister Pat Murray, who is the managing director of the Ministry of the Arts of the Congregation of the Sisters of St. Joseph. This video chat has been brought to you by the congregation. You want to go online and check out that ministry, also learn more about the congregation. It is, you know, I've often said that one of the unsung glories of the American church a lot of the time are its religious women, and the congregation of the Sisters of St. Joseph is yet another living proof of that. Keep checking in on the Crux YouTube channel. We will have more of these video features for you.